Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of FinServ Tech Oracles. I'm John Burke, here with my oracular colleague, Jerry Murphy, to share our thoughts on technology for financial services firms. And for this episode, Jerry, you wanted to talk about zero trust and specifically some of the impediments to implementing zero trust in a financial services company. So,
Right.
what do you see as the big problems?
Well, while zero trust seems to have a lot of great things for it, I think, and if you think about financial services companies as being one of the primary industries where security is very paramount, it would seem like a natural fit, right, for zero trust to be there. However, especially if you're, say, a mid-sized or smaller financial services company where you have a lot of your applications or services that are being done by third parties. One of the challenges, I think, to implementing zero trust is how do I guarantee that all of the different people I'm communicating with uh, are having the same type of platform that have standards that are going to allow an interface between all the different pieces because uh, where it used to be even 20 years ago, where banks, even small ones, they had their own data center, they had their own processing, maybe on an IBM AS 400 series type of platform, and they controlled all the elements. Of what's happened over the last 20 years is all the things that were on those boxes in your data center are now at uh, other people's data centers, and I don't control them. They're all black box, so I don't know the elements on them. Most of those people want to keep it all to themselves, and so you can't assume that I'm going to be able to easily interface between all these different elements. I don't control them, so when I try to guarantee, zero trust access and guarantee identity, who's got the identity management system, how do I do this authentication, how do I trust and verify the things that are going on in places that I don't see. And I think when you think about all those details, it's not so easy to simply say I'm going to snap my fingers and use quote zero trust and all that's going to work seamlessly.
It sounds like you'd be in a position to control access to a service, but not anything about what goes on inside it. So you can vouch for zero trust access to the perimeter of it, whatever its perimeter is, and
Right.
no further. Yeah. Is this exclusively a problem in financial services firms, or is this something more
Well,
general?
I think this is really something that's going to be a stickler for most every industry. There are select industries where elements are going to be controlled by the industry. I think about things like, manufacturing, where largely people are controlling all of the elements inside of, say, a plant, a physical location that they're doing something. And there's probably a certain level of edge computing and all the elements in there that they are controlling. But when you think about even larger businesses today, uh, I've got my customer relationship management being done by, Salesforce. I've got my payables being done by somebody like ADP. I've got my troubleshooting system by yet another one. So I think more and more that's the standard that you're going to have. So I can probably control identity management. When you look there, I think a lot of people are using, say, Microsoft Azure or Active Directory as sort of, say, an identity system. And all of these are things that I don't directly control. So I think that's more the norm than the exception, that you're going to see multiple service providers, multiple hosting institutions, and how it is I try to make sure that I have a security framework that somehow seamlessly integrates with all of them.
So, what do you recommend to financial services firms that want to try and make the best of this situation and still get to zero trust?
Well, I would still start with a zero trust architecture, but start with something that you are likely to control, which is probably I would start with identity management. I would say, try to have a standard for authentication, uh, whether it's going to be Microsoft Azure or something that, or some third party thing or something you build yourself, but try to have one standard way that you're authenticating the identity, not just of your people and your clients, but you actually want to control the identity of systems as well.
Mm.
So that would be the first thing I would do. The second thing I would do is push for standardized interfaces and ways that I'm going to exchange information between these different entities. And I think you do have some ability to influence that, because you're not if they're not going to play by that, you have the ability to potentially leverage and go to somebody else if they're not. So those are the first two ways I would go, and insist that as you're evaluating partners that you're building your solutions with, that they do have open application programming interfaces that are standards based, and try to really avoid putting in elements that are proprietary or very vendor specific or service provider specific.
Beautiful. So the top takeaways this week: zero trust is still the goal, but some of the problems in getting there are not in the control of financial services companies, because, as with so many other kinds of companies, they use a lot of SaaS and managed services that are just black boxes in their information architectures. And what they should be doing is controlling what they can control now, their identity management systems, and then their requirements around protocols and APIs among systems, so that they can work on securing sort of piece by piece as they go. And that's it until next week. So everybody, thanks for watching or listening. You can register for this entire series online. Please do. And tune in next week at 9 o'clock for the next episode of FinServ Tech Oracles, right before the markets open on Tuesdays. Thanks.
Be safe.